how much will Google be hurt if it does, in fact, pull out of China? And will Baidu, China's largest search engine, be able to pick up the pieces? Have a look at shares of both companies this year. Baidu far outperforming Google. Joining us now, Scott Kessler. Scott covers Google and Baidu for Standard & Poor's. He's Senior Director for Tech Sector Equity Research. Scott, great to have you. First, give us a sense of how Baidu differs from Google.
Well, Laura, it's great to be with you. Baidu actually, in many ways, isn't so fundamentally different from Google, but there are some differentiating points. First is obviously Baidu is, at this point, almost entirely focused on the Chinese market. Secondly, up until relatively recently, over the past year, the search results that people would get inputting inquiries into Baidu would actually yield a combination of unlabeled algorithmic results as well as essentially advertisements. Over the last year, Baidu has changed that because notwithstanding what they've been doing and their success, a lot of users and advertisers had some issues with that. Notwithstanding that, of course, most importantly, Baidu is homegrown in China. It is the dominant search engine in that particular country. And unlike Google in terms of what it wants to do, Baidu is continuing to censor results in keeping with Chinese law.
And then, Scott, who uses Baidu versus who uses Google, and what are the most popular searches for each one? Again, I'm just trying to get an understanding of the differences these companies are.
Right. The best way to understand Baidu, I would argue, is that Baidu is essentially the top search engine not only for China, but for the Chinese language, if you will. Google has had a very hard time, like a lot of other U.S. internet companies, in terms of successfully breaking into and executing in China. I guess what I would also say is when you're thinking about, say, folks that are interested within China in terms of Western searches and information about areas outside of China, a lot of these users, we believe, actually make use of Google. But Baidu really has a lock on kind of the core Chinese user as well as the core Chinese speaker.
Now, has your outlook on Baidu changed in recent days now that Google may altogether bail on China?
It hasn't, Lori, and the reason for that is on January 12th, Google posted what now has become a very famous entry in its corporate blog, where basically it indicated that there was a good chance that it would actually discontinue its search operations in China. Now, a lot of folks reacted to that blog post and essentially indicated that they believed that that was Google playing politics, that they wouldn't follow through on what they had indicated, which is that due to issues related to censorship and cyber attacks, it was no longer tenable for the company to continue to operate in China as it has. We, however, within 24 hours of when the entry was made, indicated that we thought that there was a greater than 50-50 chance that Google would discontinue its search operations in China, at least temporarily, if not permanently, and we don't see any reason why that view should be altered at this point. If anything, it seems more likely that Google will discontinue its search business in China. It's really just a matter of not if, perhaps, but when.
All right, so what kind of financial hit then could Google suffer as a result of being put out of the Chinese market?
Right. Well, as you referenced, Google has been a notable underperformer this year. The stock is actually down. Baidu is up substantially, not surprisingly, but also major indices, by and large, are up this year. And so what that suggests is that people are concerned about China. And on one level, you would say, well, that seems to be an overreaction, because right now, standing today, or as of the end of 2009, Google accounted for, the Chinese market accounted for less than 1% of Google's revenues. However, people understand that Google sees China as a growth opportunity. It's the biggest country in the world. It's the biggest internet market in the world. And there's a lot of opportunity to be had that Google might be losing out on.
Appreciate the discussion. Scott Kessler of Standard & Poor's on Google versus Baidu today.